right.
They told us love was weakness, they told us strength was rage. But I seen too many stories in before they turned the page. We praise the ones who burn it down, call that power, call that fame. But how you wear a crown and still protect a kingdom full of shame. If you wanna fix a car, you gotta lift up the hood. Check every wire, every piece, keep only what's good. This ain't about judgment, it's about what remains after we finally admit we played too many games. No more lies dressed up in shame. No more dancing with the flames while our future calls our name. I'm done protecting death's domain. I'm all about life, no shame. We build, we heal, we claim. Let's bring back the love in our husbands. Let's bring back love in our wives. Ain't no prize in being broken. Together we are the prize. Black Wall Street ain't a myth. It begins on your street. Better yet, it begins at home where royalty meets peace. We don't need another preacher. Our home is the temple. My building fund is rent, mortgage, and ownership. That's simple. Don't light up the garden, garden. Baby, we out. No more silence, no more doubt. This is the year of no more games, no more hearts stuck in the blame. No more doors, we with the flames. While our future calls our name, we outlaying the best and look. Man, it's been way for life, you. Compass the best properties, hey, no, this is the year of no more games. We choose love over shame. We choose roots over fame. And we hold high our name. I'm not waiting on a check for peace. My soul's been rich, it don't lease. We rise, we fight, we claim. Of no more games. This is the year of no more games.
All right, that's right. This is the year and no more games. Welcome everybody to another broadcast. So glad that you guys could join us today. Got somebody, brother, on the road there. Have safe travels, safe travels, safe travels. Welcome. Hope you guys had a great day. I'm gonna tell you about my week in a moment here. Just letting people come on in and get your seat or whatever. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. What are we gonna talk about today? Well, we're going to cover the news. We're going to talk about some of the things that have been going on as of late. But the main story that we're going to get to is these statues. Have you guys heard about these statues out here? And they're like statues of black women. And, you know, of course, they're trying to create some kind of buzz over something, you know, and to get people all whatever divided and all this other stuff. It's a statue of a black woman. Okay, what, you know what I mean? It's not. I mean, they got statues of all kind of people, so it's not, I mean, there's more to it. And I knew that when I saw it. I said, this is just not that. I know there's more to this thing. Well, who's the person behind it? Well, we're going to learn about that. And I'm going to tell you right now, ladies, you ain't going to necessarily be like kind of proud, you know, and, you know, I'm playing a video here. They were on the news. They were out there in the streets. And they had a special person, a man, you know, manish, or I don't know, you know, that was saying how proud he was and whatever. We're going to talk about that anyway. We're also going to talk about healing, the importance of healing. Now, as you know, we've been really going hard, and I don't see that letting up anytime soon. Really talking about, you know, holding up this mirror and the importance of us looking in that mirror and really being honest about what we see. And I know for many of you, that's tough. It's hard. I get it. I understand it. You know what I mean? You're not used to that. You know, you don't, you know, you're just not used to that. You're used to creating different diversions or talking about something else or whatever. But no, we got to deal with this, right? However, there is a very healthy way of doing it. All right. Because again, this platform, we're about health and wellness, right? We want to make sure that as we are engaging in these different things here, that we're doing it a healthy way, right? We're being healthy about it. We're being smart. We're being realistic about it. I just talked about it over on our Somber Tree broadcast that we did this afternoon. I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights of that post that I did over on Somber Tree that's going to talk about that, because how do you handle this information, but do it in a way that you are preserving yourself? You know what I mean? And you're still, bringing healing or whatever, but you want to make sure you're taken care of too. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to talk about that. I'm gonna mention briefly, y'all, the trend has been, I don't know if you noticed it or not, and I've said this years ago, I knew this was going to happen, but the trend is when this whole trend of trannies or transgender people, some of the biggest supporters of transgender people are Black women. They are. And I got a couple of clips I want to show you that kind of proves that, but it's not just the clips. There's other things too that's attached to that historically and all of that. So we'll talk about that. We're going to listen into a very familiar voice, someone that he had something really interesting to say. This was like some years ago on C-SPAN. What else? And then we got some good things we're going to look at. We're going to look at some good positive things too as well, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. They say that if you hit the like button, it has a magical thing where it helps the algorithm or whatever. I'm not asking anybody to like me or to love me, okay? But whatever. You do what you think is best on that. But anyway, so the first thing I want to talk about really quick here is, man, my week. This week has been really, when I say this week, I mean it actually goes into last week. We're getting into our week now. So I talked about this over on our Samba Tree broadcast that we did this afternoon, and you could catch that. We're on YouTube. We have Samba Tree YouTube page. We had the Samba Tree Instagram, and then we also had Samba Tree Facebook. We're on there. So I broadcast on all three of them this afternoon. But really quick, I'll just tell you about what's going on now. Behind the scenes, Samba Tree, we're always working. We're always doing stuff, you know what I mean? As far as anything from the marketing piece to making sure orders are out to researching new products, trying out new products. I mean, we're always doing stuff. That's just Samba Tree, but then we got other things too that we focus on as well. And we work with people on that. But this week has been really, really something. It's been really something. I'm gonna tell you what happened. A little over a week ago, the platform that we use is Shopify, and Shopify for the most part it's been pretty good. And but this little over a week ago, we got a notification from Shopify telling us that, we noticed that you have some verbiage on your website that, you're giving medical advice, and we can't tolerate that. And so they say, well, you'll continue to get payments and all of that, but you're going to have to make sure that you take that off, right? And we're going to give you to May the 8th. So we had plenty of time. So we said, okay, cool, we'll take care of it. And we did. We took care of it. And but they didn't, in the letter, if you read it, there was nothing in there at all mentioned about them saying everything stops as far as payments until you fix it. It didn't say that. It didn't say anything of the sort in the letter. In fact, we messaged them or emailed them and asked them, hey, you guys holding anything back? Is there any holds or anything on our account? They said, no, we don't have anything on. We're not holding anything at all, at least not right now. We said, okay, cool. We just want to make sure, because we noticed starting the first of this month, it had stopped. Like nothing was coming in. Sales was still happening, but nothing was coming in. And so for this week, since Thursday, I was just talking, like I said, I was just sharing this. I would have to say I've probably been on the phone on the average since last Thursday, probably about between the phone and chatting, probably about 5 or 6 hours out of my day. I've been on the phone constantly trying to get to the bottom of this on what's going on. And when I tell you, it has been just like a comedy of fools that I've been dealing with. That's the only way I can describe it. Because literally it's like you talk to one person, they don't know, and then they're like, it's this department and it's that department. And it's like what you see on the screen right now. It's the whole Spider-Man meme. Literally, this is exactly what I've been dealing with. And, and so all of this was created because they said that we had some, we don't want you telling people what these herbs and plants and all of that, what they're for. We don't want you telling that. And so their system just automatically stopped everything. And the scary thing that we encountered was the fact that they didn't know how to restart it. And so from this whole time, nothing, absolutely nothing. So we've been fine as far as like getting, the orders out. But I'm mentioning this because if you do have orders, that you may see, it may notice that it's a little delayed. They're going to get out. Okay. We're not concerned about that. They said they fixed it or whatever, but it took me literally a week to get them to this point. And so I'm just mentioning this for those of you who, don't stop placing orders. Please don't, you could continue to purchase and all that and your stuff will go out. I'm just saying in this tiny little wave, if you notice, there's a delay or whatever, just know that it's because of this. And honestly, I was not surprised at all. I knew it was a matter of time that they were probably going to nitpick on some things that we said. And honestly, they weren't even being like telling you exactly. It's like YouTube. YouTube will take a video down and you say, okay, well, why did you take it down? It just violated our policy. Okay, what's your policy? Well, you can't ever advocate for people getting shot and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I didn't say that, Who can I speak to? Well, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? It's like they just do that. And all of these companies do that, including Shopify. So, and then Shopify, they give you a phone number to call, you call them and they say, oh, well, none of that information actually shows up on our system. Then you get an email from somebody that says, well, according to my system, this is what it says. And I say, okay, well, let me call back. Well, here's the email. This is what their email says. Oh, really? I didn't get that. Literally, it's been like that all week. And I just I'm worn out, just dealing with this and just trying to get things done. So I'm saying this because this is on top of the things we've been talking about this week. We can't even get to that, as a so-called community, you can't even really fully fight those battles. Like it would have been great if I had people flooding the lines on this. That would have been awesome. You know what I mean? But we can't even get to that until we got to deal with the at base home stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because this is, again, like I wrote earlier today, we are in a mental health crisis in what we call the Black community. It is a crisis. I'm not trying to hype this up. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. So it's very difficult for me to look at other things as, I don't know, other perceived threats or whatever. It's difficult for me to do that because if you're not prepared, if you don't know who's fighting with you, you're not going to be prepared to fight those things. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why we spend the time on that and what we did. And, you look in the comments, you get some pushback or people are just like, whatever. And it's really something. But yeah, that's what we've been dealing with. So yeah, so this is, they have telegraphed this for a long time. I'm talking about companies in general where they do, this started all the way back with the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers said anybody that's selling herbs or pushing natural ways that your body can heal and whatnot, we are going to refer to them as quacks. They are weirdos. They're this, that, or whatever. Well, fast forward to 2025, they're still doing it. So what we have to do is we're going to do some things, and I talked about that in the broadcast. We're going to do more education so that people will know when they come to the site, even though it doesn't say things specifically, you can be able to refer to some additional information that we're going to provide somewhere else so that you will already know when you're coming in what you're asking for and what does what and all of that. So it's really something. It's been really something. It's been, like I said, it's just worn out. I think the thing that tires me out the most is always feeling like you got to be the adult in the room. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with these people, it's like your computer's right there. Just click on it. Oh, I don't have access to it. Well, the last person I talked to, they did have access. They said they did this, and it was like, oh, okay. It's really something. So anyway, yeah, it was tiring. So yeah, so that's what we're dealing with, and so I think we're in the clear now. We should be fine. But yeah, take the time, go over, head on over to cybertree.com. Again, like I said, we're all about health and wellness. Everything from herbs to teas to, well, it can be the same thing, right? Herbs, teas, powders, oils, everything for your skin, body. We believe 100%, meaning that we don't believe in all these external crazy chemicals and stuff like that, that are designed to make you more ashy, to make your teeth, to degrade your teeth because they add sugars to the toothpaste and all that stuff. No, we don't believe in that at all. So we are doing our part to be a solution with that. Our goal is to depopulate hospitals, number one. Number two, to eliminate diabetes and high blood pressure amongst Black folks. That is our goal, is to eliminate it completely. And we already are building a track record where we're getting testimonies of people saying that, man, I don't even deal with this anymore. So yeah, I think we're off to a good start. So anyway, we're going to deal with, so yeah, that's that. I just want to make mention of that. The healing post. I'll just highlight that real quick. This is over on our page, cybertree.com. Let me touch on that very quickly here. It is right here. If you go to cybertree.com, look at that. That's our latest headline photo-ish. Yes, that's AI. They're living their best life. They're living their best life. Anyway, you scroll down here and go to the blog post right here. This is the latest one right here. Again, it's called Breaking the Cycle, How to Stay Strong While Healing Our Community. And this is a step-by-step on how to take in this stuff that we've been talking about, right? But at the same time, you're protecting your mental health because it has to be dealt with. But at the same time, you got to have your mental health. It's got to be stable, right? So we talked about everything from, really writing down how you feel when you're taking some of this stuff in, practicing daily quiet time. What kind of herbs? What are the best herbs to take that can address some of these things? Because, everything that you take in on social media or television and media, whatever, it has a direct impact on your brain and it has an indirect impact on everything else in your body. So while your brain is trying to process one thing, your different organs and stuff like that, they're reverberating. They're catching all this. They're like, well, wait a minute. Oh, turn back. I'm still trying to process that shooting that you just saw in the last post. And then your heart saying, well, whoa, go back to the one. I saw some of them cheeks. I need to go see it again. For some of y'all that's like that, then another part of your brain, your body is dealing with something else. So you have to learn how to step back and to allow your body to rest, right? I mean, if some of this stuff, even that we share, if it's a little bit too much, it's okay to step back. You got to allow your body to process and to heal. And some things you're just going to have to cut off. So when I tell you, it's very thorough. I mean, in this particular post, the different things that you should do, and going through this, we still got to go through it. You can't avoid it. I know for some people, they try hard to avoid these conversations. We cannot avoid these things. You can't. We have to talk about it. It has to be discussed, but there's a healthy way of doing it. And that's what we're trying to do in addressing all of that. You don't just throw this stuff out and then leave it out there and say, okay, have a great night. No. You're going to need to give yourself some time. And so, so check that out when you get a chance. Again, that's on cybertree.com. Okay, let's get to the statue situation. Now, how many of y'all seen these statues, that's been all on the news lately of these statues that are out here of Black women. Someone said the Black woman is God. These statues that are out here. Let me show you this one here. Let's see the articles right here. This is it right here. All right. And I actually think they had some in Italy somewhere too, if I'm not mistaken. They put them like in several places, but New York, the one in Times Square, is getting all the attention here. And there was a couple of things. I mean, I knew this was to be provocative, like I dare you say something bad about Black women. That's why the artist made the woman the size that they did, because trust me, if it was of a white woman, she would be a size 2. You understand? And I ain't got no issue with women of any size for that matter. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. My point is that they do this because, again, black folks are the perpetual Trojan horse for all these different crazy, wild issues out here. For LGBT, who do they turn to? Black women to be the Trojan horse to press those issues. For anything else, who do they use? Black women. For illegal immigration, who they have? Black women. So they always do that, and they dare you. I dare you say something about them. So this is no different. So when I said I saw this and I saw right through it, I was like, yeah, whatever. So anyway, let's just read the article real quick, and then we're going to learn about the artist himself, because that's what I wanted to know about. A new attraction just made its debut in Times Square, and there's a lot of people talking. A giant 12-foot bronze sculpture of a young black woman now sits on the north side of Duffy Square on Broadway and 46th Street, facing 47th Street. The installation features the woman standing with her two hands on her hips, dressed in a t-shirt and pants, as she gazes out in the open space. The statue is part of a series called Grounded in the Stars by British figurative artist Thomas J. Price, in an attempt to help deconstruct preconceived notions of people's identities, while also emphasizing how black individuals can claim their space freely on their terms. What? That's a mouthful, but anyway. And I got to show you this video of someone that's saying that they got inspiration from this. Anyway. I hope Grounded in the Stars will instigate meaningful connections and bind intimate emotional states that allow for deeper reflection around the human condition and greater cultural diversity. Nobody ain't thinking all of that. Nobody ain't thinking all of that. Why they got Elmo here? But anyway, the work is a composite fictional character, unfixed and boundless, allowing us to imagine what it would be like to inhabit space neutrally without preconceived ideas and misrepresentation. This can be any black woman in New York. Why you got, I mean, they acting like it's some whole big thing. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I'm just saying it really is nothing to it. He added that the sculpture isn't based on anyone in particular, but rather a composite. It looks like Latita James. It could be Latita James. I mean, I don't know. It could be Latita James there. Maybe it was modeled after her. Anyway, she about to go to jail, but that's a whole nother story. And all that smoke and smoking and thunder she got in her chest and finger wagging and all that, straight to jail. She got to go to jail card. She already, that card just going like this. That card just pointing. It's just like, you going keep going. You going to keep, don't even hang a right. Just keep going. Just go. Just go. Anyway, that's a whole side issue. He added that the sculpture is okay, we already talked about that. The identity was intentionally left open-ended, so people can take the art piece without assumptions and stereotypes. Unfortunately, despite the artist's intentions, the figure got a lot of people talking and generated a ton of mixed emotions online. This is all marketing, y'all. They pay people grips of money to get out here to start conversations on something like this. They ain't paying me though. Okay, they ain't paying me because we're gonna talk about the artist. I'm just reading the article. And I doubt seriously anybody out here gonna be like, okay, I need to go out to New York so I can see this statue. But anyway, Times Square unveils they just repeating stuff over again. Fun fact, the average height of a woman in America is 5'3", and the average weight is approximately 170 pounds in terms of clothing size. Okay, whatever. And so they got these different clips here of people saying whatever they're gonna say, right? This statue is actually mocking black people, black women in particular. Even Lizzo and Monique realized that the joke was on them. People were, okay. It's literally not that deep. It's not that deep at all. I don't know if they have anything worth saying in this article. Okay, so the name of the artist to you, the name of the artist is Thomas J. something. I just had it. Thomas J. Price. That's the name of the artist. Well, let's go to Thomas J. Price's website, shall we? He actually did a piece when he did an exposition back in 2001. Something else happened during that time, right? But he did something back in 2001. Let's go there. He did this piece that he called Licked. Yeah, it's called Licked. You want to know what it's about? Okay, well, let's read what it's about. This is him right here. Oh, yeah, that's him. That's Mr. Thomas there. Let's read about this Licked. Might as well tell me. Thomas J. Price's practice encompasses sculpture, film, and photography, engaging with issues of representation and perception, whilst also inviting the viewer to attend to the representational dimension of his practice. He compels them to consider how and why things are made, the reasoning behind the choice of materials, as well as how they sit within their environment. This is clearly seen in one of Price's earliest exhibited works called Licked in 2001. In this performance piece, now check this out, get your ears on. In this performative piece, Price licks the walls of an exposition space over a period of 3 days. Initially intended as an invisible installation, the repetitive act of licking caused Price's tongue to bleed, leaving him quite literally painting the walls with his own blood and saliva. Yeah. Yeah, you heard that, right? The performance succinctly crystallizes ongoing tensions that can still be found in Price's more recent work. Tensions between ideas of the internal and external, and of communication and misrepresentation. The blood and saliva are both essential for keeping the internal system. This guy sounds like he just got out of prison. See, I gotta read it like that then. See, you got to understand, see, the blood and the saliva, see, you got to understand, see, when the juices, when they come together, you know what I'm saying? They're both essential to keeping the internal systems within the body, you know, flowing or laid bare all to see. All right, turn it off. His tongue, instead of being used to articulate words, has been put to task to create an external visual language that is ambiguous enough to be open to interpretation. Well, let's take a look at him in action, shall we? Oh, yeah, he's got the video out here. Let's look at the video here. You ready? This who you got who's out here doing an exposition on doing statues of black women. This is the man behind it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, all that, the red you seeing on there, yeah, that, you know what that is. It's blood. He did this for 3 days. Right, someone say he sounds like a mental case. Yeah, he is. And they're using a mental case to portray black women. So for the black women who looked at that statue and you were like, oh, he really captured the essence of who we are. This is the artist behind it. That's the artist behind it. That's the artist behind it. Yeah, he captured the essence of black women, but you know, this is where his mind is doing this kind of stuff. That's where his mind is. Doing this kind of stuff, licking walls. Who does that? Who's sane? Who does that? He does. So this is what I'm saying. Oh, let me get this. Let me look at my bookmarks here because some people, I guess, apparently they found some inspiration in his work here. And so here's an individual here. Let me play that video. Okay, let me get this up on the screen. He said he found some inspiration behind these statues. All you gotta do is look at them. You know we gonna sound like you know that, right? You already know. All right, here we go.
A plus size woman, I'm a plus size man, I'm African American, it's the African American woman statue. So just seeing another piece for me to stop and just have a moment with was very powerful.
Me being a plus size black woman, I kind of looking at it was just like, oh, I wonder what me as a small child would have thought looking at something like that. Representation.
The piece is part of a series called Grounded in the Stars, which Gene Cooney, director of Times Square Art, says confronts preconceived notions of identity and representation.
I wonder what that would look. I wonder what I would have thought if I was a child looking up that. I don't think you want to know because children are very harsh when it comes to weight. They do. Unfortunately, we've all been there, and so let's stop the pretending. Let's stop pretending that somehow a child going to be. Oh my God! If she can be big, I can be big. I mean, think about the logic behind that. I'm just saying. Think about the logic behind this. Again, I ain't got no hate. Look, we all got a little extra poundage here and there. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no hatred toward that. But my point is, it's just, there is more to this. There's a lot more to this. And usually these globalists, these world, people or whatever, these, diabolical people, whatever, they always like to use different artists to relay certain messages and stuff like that. And when I'm gonna tell you, the very first thing that came to my mind, I said, okay, this is really interesting. They're using a black woman to relay whatever message it is that they're trying to relay. So I'm not gonna sit up here and start, pulling straws and trying to guess on exactly the deeper meanings of all of that. But it should be a lot of red flags come up to you if the artist is licking walls talking about he trying to get into the blood and the saliva and all this other stuff. And this same guy you're trusting to actually to represent. They couldn't even get, wait, hold on, back up. They couldn't get a woman to do it. I mean, okay, you got a guy doing it. Okay, cool. Right. I mean, you get a guy that does artist work or whatever, but say like a project like that, wouldn't they? Somebody should point that out. And I guarantee you, they will just be fighting at each other. That's right. You should get a woman to do it. But my point is that there's always anytime this system is promoting somebody or something or whatever, there's always other deeper meanings to it. Trust me. And the way that this system, the same system that gave us the Hottentot shows, now all of a sudden they want to start doing statues, of black women like this. There's a lot more to it, to the story. And it ain't because, we just think they're just so beautiful. No. So the moral of the story, never look to this system to boost your self-esteem, because if they're doing that, that means they're not boosting your they're boosting your self-esteem, but they're doing it so that they can laugh at you. That's really what that's about. So never trust on that. That you just take that for what it's worth. All right, let's move on to the next story here. A couple of stories here. Let me see. This one is I have two of these. I don't know if I'll be able to find the second one. This was on the news, I think. I have to scroll for a little bit. Hopefully I'll find it. Well, meanwhile, what y'all think? What's your thoughts on the Pope? I know some of y'all excited now. Some of y'all, I'm sure, are excited. Others, I think y'all probably mad they ain't picked the black one. How many? How many of y'all were holding your breath thinking that they were gonna pick the black one? No, they weren't gonna pick the black one. I'll tell you right now, he wasn't gonna get picked. He probably already knew. He probably wasn't even in there. The whole conclave thing. He's probably like, man, I'll be down the street at Starbucks. Y'all let me know what's up. But I was imagining. I was like, man, what if they pick he come out there? He black, man. That's gonna be something else. And then you're going to see the same people out here that talking about how Rome is Babylon and all of a sudden they're going to say, the Most High, he's taking it back. You know, all of a sudden the whole narrative is going to change if he was black. But yeah, well, I tell you what, they're going to make him the black pope, right? You know, they always got the regular pope and they got the black pope. So he's probably the black pope because it's convenient. That's probably how that's going to work out for him. But anyway, this is, some of y'all know she used to do sports. This is Jamel Hill. Oh, she used to be on ESPN, lost that show. Then she moved on to, was it the New York something? And she does now she, writes here and there, and she has her podcast or whatever. But this is yet another one of these black women that do have a significant following who's out here making arguments for LGBT and specifically men that are playing in women's sports. So let's take a quick listen to her thoughts on this.
The other problem, Scott, is that it's never enough. It's bathrooms today. It's sports today. It's sports tomorrow. It's the military today.
No, it's also sports today, by the way.
Yeah, it is sports today. And
80% of Americans agree, by the way.
Oh, that's fine. And 80%, guess what? The majority sometimes is wrong. That also happens, right? Because the majority used to believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was somebody who was a threat, that somebody who was not a good American. The majority of people used to be against civil rights. Were they right? No, they weren't. And so
So she's trying to compare men who want to play in women's sports to the civil rights movement. I told you the whole civil rights movement was a Trojan horse movement. It was. Unfortunately, it was. And she's trying to make it seem as if she's trying to equate men who want to play in women's sports. Well, yeah, that's why black folks march. Now, I honestly don't know what planet she came from. Okay. Maybe the aliens on her planet had an alien leader called Martin Luther King or whatever that, they marched for something else. But here, no, my ancestors, my parents who were part of that, no, they none of that was in mind when they were, going through the stuff that they had to go through. That was not at all. In fact, during those days, they would laugh at you. It was a complete joke, when you would see a man wanting to play women's sports. They didn't think like that back then. So, but unfortunately, we played a clip a while back. She's not alone in this. I actually played a clip of Coretta Scott King, and you can find it here on YouTube. Coretta Scott King actually made it very clear that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, she actually made it clear that what I'm saying, that I'm actually wrong, because according to her, I'm gonna see if I can find it, her husband did in fact march for LGBTQ. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Now, if that's the case, that's interesting, because again, people I know that lived during that time, that never came up. So that's news to us, unless of course there's some behind the scene things that came up where, maybe Coretta got a little bag for saying that, but that's what I suspect. But anyway, let's see. Coretta Scott King. Let's see. LGBT. Okay, let's get this up here. Oh, yeah. Right here. I know I misspelled her name here, but here you go. Coretta Scott King on LGBT rights.
For many years now, I have been an outspoken supporter of civil and human rights for gay and lesbian people. I've always felt that homophobic attitudes and policies were unjust and unworthy of a free society, and must be opposed by all Americans who believe in democracy. I still hear people say that I should not be talking about the rights of lesbian and gay people, and I should stick to the issue of racial justice. But I hasten to remind them that Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere."
That's one, and I got another one I could play too. But yeah, she took that whole thing that her husband, Martin Luther King, what he said, injustice anywhere, whatever, that he was talking about LGBTQ. Now, let's be clear here. For those of us in the sane world, in the sane, SANE, world, we do not advocate going out and bringing harm to people who practice those lifestyles. In other words, if that's the lifestyle you want to live, then you go ahead and you do that. I personally don't care. I don't lose any sleep over what you choose to do in your own bedroom. However, when those lifestyles are being enforced on people who reject them, like for example, in schools or even on your job, when they're forcing you to take certain classes and all that, and you're like, hey, listen, I don't want to hear that. Or even when you're watching a show, the show could be going great, and then all of a sudden you got two men playing lightsaber. I mean, it's whatever. And it's like, okay, where did this even come from? And so, you even got Sesame Street. They were pushing some of this stuff as well, and then they had to tell us, Bert and Ernie, that they both came out of the closet. I'm not making this stuff up. They were saying, yeah, the creators or whatever, they mentioned, because someone asked them, they said, now tell us the secrets. Bert and Ernie, when they kind of partner kind of situation, yeah, that's what they tell. But anyway, but seriously, I'm telling you this. So they subtly put this stuff, be slipping this stuff to our children and all that kind of stuff. So again, let's be clear. Nobody out here is advocating to hurt folk, okay, to bring physical harm. That's not me. But I do disagree with it. And I have my reasons. I've been through it or whatever, and I'm not going to take y'all through that. But I have my reasons why I disagree with it. You understand what I'm saying? Just like some of y'all. You have your disagreements why you disagree with it. And then I'm sure some of y'all may have reasons why you agree with it. I personally do not advocate disowning children. Like, in other words, telling them, don't you dare, I hate you and you're not child of mine, that kind of stuff. I don't advocate for that either. As much as it may be disappointing for parents, they're still your children at the end of the day. But you can love them, but not love what they do. You understand what I'm saying? So you can do that. It's just that, unfortunately, getting back to the whole emotion conversation we had the other day, we have to learn how to, guide through those emotions so that we're not destroying people that we should be embracing, or the other way around. You understand what I'm saying? So we made that very clear. However, people like Coretta Scott King, people like Janelle Hill, and some of these other black women out here, because there's plenty of them. They're not just talking about that. They're talking about actually embracing the lifestyle. And a lot of times that's what you see in a lot of these shows where, or shows, or just period in life. I mean, when you got a bunch of black women, and then you usually have a couple of friend boys that kind of go with them, cis boys that kind of all go around. They all, booed up together and, commenting on the same guy and all that kind of stuff. But it ain't just that. The church has been doing this for years. For years. Someone did a video where it was that person, Big Frida. Do I have that? Big Frida. Someone did a video on this. Big Frida. It's a whole man. Is this it here? Yeah, this it right here. Oh, shoot. Sorry, y'all.
Let's do it.
I can't watch it anymore. But here's the thing. It's funny to sit back and to watch and listen to Christians and they're like, oh, this really isn't the church. That's something else. No, this is the church. This is the church. This is the whole church. It is. Now, you may not condone it, but this is the church. Go back to the series that we did on our other platform, long form history. We take you all the way back, Christianity and the influences of Christianity. This is the norm. This was the norm. When you hit the fast forward button, go to like the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s in these black churches, you will find that on the low, this kind of life was always there in the background. Always. When they, particularly, so they started hiding in the choir. I don't know how you hide in the choir when you live in that, because everybody, they would just call them sissies back then. Y'all remember this. Some of y'all old enough used to call it, oh, they just sissies, or, oh, he just got a kind of way about him, that kind of thing. And then we find out years later that it wasn't just he had a way. People like Donnie McClurkin. I knew for years, I would look at Donnie McClurkin and I said, man, someone messed that boy up. Someone messed that man up. And, just his mannerisms and all that kind of stuff. And then he came out and talked about that. There's many examples of this where you got young boys that have been messed up and all of that. And instead of the church being a place of healing, they promote brokenness. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to what we call black culture. Black culture promotes brokenness, people who are broken, and you're promoting them because they can sing a little, or they can do a little bit of this, or they can do that, or whatever. Meanwhile, the pastor, he doing all kinds of stuff. So, I think there's a whole lot of people that need to sit down before we start talking about Jeff Epstein. Because before we talk about Jeff Epstein, we need to talk about Church of God in Christ and how they have a long history of moving around bishops and pastors that get caught up in this mess, that produce people like the Big Fridas. So this is interwoven in church life. It is. You personally may not endorse that, but I'm saying the system itself has made plenty of room for this. So yeah, this is the norm. This is the norm. You're just now waking up to the fact that it is. So you're going to see a lot more Big Fridas and all that, because they're already out here. They are already out here. So anyway, let's move on here. Let's see what else I have here. This is, how many of y'all know Aaron Magruder? Magruder. Years ago, he was on C-SPAN, and he said something I thought was really interesting. Let me scroll to that, and maybe y'all seen this clip before, but I thought it was pretty good here. So let me get this up here. Let's pull this up. And play it.
Part of why the civil rights movement has been so successful, and part of why those who have come after in terms of our leadership have been able to maintain a presence, is that black people have always had a certain amount of moral currency that we have been using. Mm-hmm. And let me be the first to tell you, that's used up. White America has been watching us act like fools for a long enough time where any sympathy they may have had to our plight is completely gone. You're approaching a country Forget hating black people or not hating black people. They just don't care. You can be talking about affirmative action. They can be like, I don't care. It literally is of no importance to me. I don't care about slavery. I don't care about segregation. I don't care about you. I don't care how many of you all go to jail. I don't care at all because I'm broke.
True and so. True and so. And so that's why we had the discussions that we've been having. We have to begin to start going back and looking at, these behaviors and why these behaviors are within this culture we call black culture are promoted and protected and all that, because you have to, now we're in a day and time, we have to distance yourself from it. I'm not going to defend somebody that's, you did something willingly criminal. I'm not defending you. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You on your own. You want to be a dummy and do something and kill somebody or whatever. Okay, well, that's you. You know what I'm saying? And so that last video that I posted where I just showed, clips and interwoven with the, other clips where you had black folks who were talking about how we got to escape. I had to escape out of here. We got to escape America. And I had to get out of America because of the racism. The racism. Oh, my God. It's like the racism is choking me. It's choking me, and it's like, okay, let's pump the brakes here. Let's pump the brakes here. Okay. No, you not run. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's do an examination here. Okay. Let's do an examination. You want to talk about black people escaping? Because see, here's the thing. Again, when it comes to history, I cherish it and I love it. And I do everything I can to protect the history, the good histories and the bad, so that we can learn from both. When we talk about black folks escaping white supremacy or, systems that were oppressing us, look no further than the transatlantic slave trade, the Underground Railroad. Look no further than that. You had people like Henry Box Brown who basically UPS'd himself up north. You have other black folks who would walk for days and days and days in the night to escape slavery, to escape oppression, right? You had others who escaped it and they said, I got to go back and get my family. They'll go back, get their family, and then they come on back. And they all had to do this through a whole integral network that just went all the way up to Canada. And in some cases, it went down to Mexico. And if they get caught, then, it's just pretty much you're done at that point. That's escaping. But you know what escaping looks like today? Oh, it's having a passport. It's filming it with your camera like, hey, guys, guess what? I'm on my way to get out of America. Let me bring you on this journey. And you got to do all of that and all that stuff, and it's having a savings account. Hopefully you got one. It's, being able, having a moving service, paying a new moving service to move your stuff from one place to another. That's not escaping. Okay. That's not escaping at all. And if we're honest enough about this, no, black folks who we say that oftentimes, that's why I say it just, someone said some escape to Haiti. Correct. Black folks who say this oftentimes, I have to confront that. No, you're not escaping racism. You're not. You're just putting that out there to try to add some currency to, this is why I'm, child, just move. Just move. Go. It's okay. People move all the time. It doesn't have to be that deep. The reason why I had to get out of here is because, it's just hard out here. They coming after me. Who coming after you? I mean, honestly, who's coming after you? Well, you see what they did to Rodney King. Rodney King. You going all the way back to Rodney King. What that got to do with you? And so, no, it's when you hear people saying that all the time, they're not fleeing racism. If anything, they're fleeing other black folks. When you actually look at the reality of what we've been talking about. In fact, you see that here. People use the same excuses here in the United States. They're going, where are you going? I'm moving out to the suburbs. Like, man, it was crazy. I can't live down there anymore. I got to move to the suburbs. And there we go, just out to the suburbs with them. And like someone said earlier, if you don't resolve the issues inside of you, guess what? Your problem's going to come right with them. And then all of a sudden you got problems out in the suburbs. And then all of a sudden, white people say, you know what? Let me get on out of here. They move even further. Then guess what? We right behind them. Don't forget me, Mr. Charlie. And they right behind them. Next thing you know, white folk, they already now, you got Elon Musk. Why you think he building rockets to go to Mars? Why he keeps name dropping Mars all the time? Because that's the next destination. That's going to be the next suburb. But guess what? If ain't no black folks building rockets, guess what? Ain't no black folks going on Mars. Okay, they know you ain't doing that. Okay? They know you ain't going to Mars. Okay, that's why they shooting them rockets up there, because they getting ready. They said that's the next step. That's going to be our next suburbs. You can have it. Okay, y'all can have it. Keep Earth. We're going to be up in Mars. But for real, so that's really the reason. When you hear people say that, again, they try to be so deep and, oh, the racism I'm dealing with, I just had to get away from it. And then every day and night I'm stressed. I'm just stressed. There are people who oftentimes do move from America for numbers of reasons, right? You just want to change a pace. Maybe you want a slower lifestyle. Maybe you want to immerse yourself into a different culture and all that. That's fine. People do that all the time. They do that all the time. Well, let's not start now. I'm not sitting up here acting like America's perfect and this is the best place or whatever. I'm not saying that. America's got its problems, but guess what? If you don't resolve the issues inside of you first, guess what? You're going to bring that wherever you go. And see, you know what I'm saying? You go into somewhere like Africa or the Caribbean or whatever, they have their own set of issues that you're going to have to try to figure out and try to immerse yourself to blend in and all this other stuff. So, I'm not opposing anybody opting to move. If you want to move, then move. But let's not do this thing where we're trying to make, because you got Hebrew Israelites. I was in the Hebrew world too. People saying, well, guess what? We're looking at the African map and this is kind of looking like Zion. Every mountain in Africa is now Mount Zion. Which one? I don't know. About 20 of them, all of them Mount Zion. And we're going to move to Zion. We're going to move to Africa. We're going to move to Canaan land. This is the promised land. And so I'm looking at the promised land. I'm like, oh, okay, brother. This brother's saying this is the promised land. Let's see, look at this. Well, they got war and stuff going on there. Are you there? Well, I'm not really there yet. I'm actually still in my Airbnb, but God told me, the Most High told me that that's the promised land. Okay, then once you go. Well, see, listen, and then here come the flip. Well, see, brother, that's the problem. You always flipping it on me. You should be doing that. Why I gotta be the one? That kind of thing. They'll have some of y'all sit up in straight up war zones. Up there be bullets and knives, everything flying out every which way, and you sit up there, but he's coming. I'm telling y'all, I'm laughing, but it's sad because you got folk who do this stuff, man, all the time. Oh, someone said here, let me see this comment here. Oh, we doing really good on time. I just got one more thing here. Someone said, I don't think FBA ADOS wants to separate from them. However, they will give an excuse that can't live without us. Who cares? We need to separate. Well, let me just say this. You do have a lot of black Americans. These are black Americans now. You got to be honest. There are plenty of black Americans that were born here, okay? And I ain't talking about their second, third generation Jamaicans or whatever. Even that, I don't really care about that. But what I'm saying is there's many of them. And if you think I'm wrong, look no further than the city of Dimona in Israel. It's made up of mostly black Americans that think that they're cousins of the Jews that are over there. These are black Americans that have moved there. And there's other places on the continent as well that want to, they feel like that's their home. And like I said, again, you do what you want to do, but don't be over there acting like, whoo, I'm away from racism. Okay, you're not. It wasn't all of that. And for those of you who feel like that, you know, and when you're listening to a lot of these YouTubers that are saying this kind of stuff, take some deep breaths and really, you know, look around you, okay? Because America's got its own set of issues. It does. Is it is it when it comes to black folks, do they have a history of mistreating black folks? Yes, they do. They do. Ain't nobody ignoring that. But I'm telling you right now, there is a reason why you got a lot of people in those countries try to come here. And you can start in places like South Africa. Okay, South Africa has a whole black government. And the way they're running that country over there is just, it's a crazy house of what they're doing. I'm saying black South Africans are saying this. And I'm like, you really want to do that? You really want to do that? And again, on the flip, you got other places in Africa that don't, that's fine. You should, you know, check it out. But again, just keep that in mind, because people out here, they'll have you live in all kind of places, but they ain't there. They still on YouTube somewhere. And with their camera off, where are you? I don't know. Anyway, one last thing, because yeah, we're going to take our own advice. We're going to take our own advice. We're going to end off on a good note here. So let's go to my other thing here. Let's see. These are some random videos I came across I thought were very inspiring and good and all of that. And this is a father teaching his son how to jump. I think you enjoy this one. Let me play this one here. Go. Oh, they got music on this. Tag on it. I have to turn it down because it's like I'm sitting up here like standing with him. I'm like, come on, he almost got it. He almost got it. Ah, there you go. Do it again. Do it again. There you go. Anyway, that was one I liked. I really liked that one. Here's another one. It's the simple things. It's the simple things for me when it comes to some of this stuff here. Let me see. I had another one here. Let me see. Oh, this little girl here, she has cerebral palsy. And but she is learning how to walk on her own. Look at this one. Hopefully this don't have any music on it. Come on, girl. Hey, come on.
That is amazing.
Come on. I don't know if they're going to keep looping it or not.
That is amazing.
Okay, all right, they keep looping it. Ain't that great? Little things, y'all. Little things we have to learn to appreciate, you know, little things like that. And the parents, my goodness, parents that, you know, hats off to you guys, you know, parents out there that have children with ADHD or, you know, some of these other conditions. I know I can only imagine, you know, how challenging that is for you parents out there that are, you know, that doing your thing to, you know, to raise these children up. Our hats go off to y'all because that's a lot of work. I can't even imagine that, you know, but really appreciate you guys. Really do. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that. Here's another child here. They said students mistreated this kid who couldn't afford the property things. who couldn't afford the property things, teachers surprised him. I don't know what they're saying. I've seen this, but basically, here we go.
So this is Tracy. So Tracy, yesterday, when you were in my class doing testing, what were you telling me? How were the kids treating me yesterday?
They were treating me bad.
Why? What were they doing?
They were talking and then they were speaking.
And not listening. And tell me, what did you tell me about that? What you wouldn't do? What your parents taught you?
My parents told me to respect people.
Right. So with that being said, I wanted to do something nice for you. Me and my family, me and my boys did something nice for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Go look.
Thank you. Thank you.
Open it. You're welcome. Oh, don't cry. Oh my God. Oh,
Thank you.
you are so welcome. You like them? So this is what being respectful, and this is what it does for you. God bless me. So me and my family wanted to bless you just from that little conversation me and you had yesterday, okay? All right.
See that? Ain't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Just little things like that. There are little things like that that happen every day. And, you know, you have black folks out here that are doing that, you know, and we have to acknowledge these things, too, because, yeah, you got the bad stuff that's going on. And we have to deal with that because there's some more troubling times coming in. I'll touch on that just momentarily. But here's another one. This is a father who is reacting to his daughter winning 4 awards in school. And watch this. Here we go.
Call me soft, call me what y'all want, but I never expected my child to receive 4 awards. And I've never been an academic student. I've never reached those heights before. Call me weak, call me lame, but I'm crying because I never thought that could come from me, and I'm proud of my daughter. I'm proud. Of course, I could cry in front of her face, but I'm proud. I'm fucking proud. Now I'm on my way to work to go get this bread for her.
Ain't that something? Yes, there are numerous fathers out there that, you know, you're not going to hear too much about them, you know, because the media, you know, of course, or, you know, a lot of times we'll just want to focus on the ones that aren't there. And unfortunately, that is a truth. You know, there are many who aren't there. But we also want to pay homage to those who, you know, who are doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And we want to do that. Here's another one here. This is a father who's, unfortunately, he had to deal with his wife. I guess she was in an accident or something like that. We'll figure this out. I bookmarked it so we can watch it together. Let's take a look at this one.
After 7 months in the hospital and numerous surgeries, Onyxia came home, where her husband Roosevelt leads her round-the-clock care. Onyxia can't walk or speak and relies on a feeding tube.
The doctors are saying that the brain injuries are too severe for her to make a full recovery. So I don't know what recovery looks like for her. I don't know if she will be able to recover.
As the crash anniversary approaches, Miramar police say they have no leads at all, and Roosevelt is still waiting.
I'm hoping that the community says something. I'm hoping that we can hold this person accountable.
He's not sure whether his wife will get any better, but says he won't give up on her.
I love you, baby. I'm so proud of you. You're doing a good job.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's all the time. You know, one of the things you'll find someone mentioned this before. It was some study or something. They talked about how when you look at different groups, that black folks, we tend to, despite all of the problems that you see out there, black folks tend to lead the way when it comes to caring for our elders. You know, we will tell our elders, no, you're going to stay in our house before we turn them over to some nursing, place or whatever, nursing home. And when you think about it, that's true. You know, a lot of us have relatives, older relatives, they staying in the house. You got the oxygen tanks and everything else, but you're going to do what you got to do, and that is a wonderful attribute that we need to preserve and save. And when we talk about culture, that's something that definitely it should be highlighted and saved. The other stuff we need to get rid of. We got to talk about that, and then we got to uproot it and get rid of it. But that, hey, listen, you ain't dying up in there. That's something that we need to accentuate that. We need to continue to build on that. Here's another one. I always get all these one with fathers on there too. Here's another one here. Father in a wheelchair, making sure his little baby get down the steps. There's no sound on it, but you can see. I think they just loop it. Yeah, I thought that was really nice too. Let's see what else here. I got anything else I can show. I don't know. I think that's it. I had another one. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, there are plenty of examples of that. And we're going to continue to highlight those things as well. Please take the time, look at the article that I mentioned earlier. I have a link of it in our community page, that talks about how, as we discuss these unfortunate things that, the black on black stuff that we see going on, we're going to take an honest look at it. I know I got some people who are rah FBA people, and FBA people, we don't shoot each other, that kind of stuff. We got to be honest. Okay. We have to be honest. I know it's easy to brush that off and push that on the Caribbeans, the Jamaicans, the Africans and all that stuff. And yeah, they bring their problems too. And yes, they do tear things up, but we got to take ownership of our piece too. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we're going to move forward, regardless if you want to call yourself an FBA, I don't care. Call yourself an FBA, but you're going to have to be honest too. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever it is, you're going to have to be honest. And having these honest conversations, they're not easy. They're not. They are very uncomfortable. But like I said, again, follow that article that I posted there, because there's some great information in there. If you take at least some of it, it's going to really help you to process, because we're going to keep on having those conversations here, and so the numbers are going to dip or whatever, and that's okay. But we're going to keep on having those conversations, but we're going to do it in a way that's constructive, where we're actually building and we're charting courses where people can be healed. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what we're about. And we're all about joining with other people who are interested in that as well. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. Remember, for health and wellness solutions, check out our website again. That's sambatree.com. One more time, it is sambatree.com. Thank you so much for your support and all of that, y'all. Really appreciate you guys. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Take care now. See you again.